Hello again, here we are. Rosie's back with us in the clinic. It's been 2 weeks, is it?
No, just a week.
Just a week this time, right. And this is our 5th,
yes,
isn't it? So, how have you been?
So, yeah, really good since the last session. We had a good treatment, and we also started to do a gait analysis, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Which threw me a little bit because the jogging really pulled. And I was thinking, oh no, that sort of set me back. But actually, the treatment that followed it just sorted it out immediately.
Okay.
The discomfort.
Right.
The Shockwave treatment sorted it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been fine since. I mean, I haven't done any exercise, but I haven't been any more kind of hobbly. So it is just, getting stronger and stronger. And in fact, walking in here just a moment ago into the surgery, it really struck me the distance travelled in a very short amount of time, really, because I was seriously hobbling in, wasn't I, 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And for quite a while afterwards, for about 2 weeks, I was really quite hobbly.
Yeah, you were. So you're walking a lot more normally now.
I'm walking a lot more normally, and I'm not getting the sort of twinge pulls when I have an occasional kind of leap off my foot, you know, with a bit of impact.
Okay.
So yeah, definite improvement.
Okay, well that's good. So I'd like to also talk about the gait analysis and what we did, because we didn't have time, did we, to just go through that.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting when you were running. There was a lot going on, and I managed to just record just a little bit in slow motion of your footfall. And so I'll show that to you.
Okay.
But what happens is that because you've got that loose ankle, the ligaments are quite loose on the ankle, and your instep is quite high, so it's deceiving as to whether you'd think you wouldn't need insoles. But because of that loose ligament of the ankle, you can see in slow motion that your heel strike, and then your foot will really rock over. Now we could see that on the gait analysis, and I'll show you that in slow motion there too. So what happens, instead of heel striking and your balance going over to the 5th toe or towards that area, and then out through the big toe and the 2nd toe, it's just as your ligaments give, it just your weight just travels all the way up through here. So we're not getting that spring off. So not only as the joint goes, you've got this instability, the calf is trying to recover it, but because it's already tense, and then it's demanding a spring off, you see, so that lift is mostly in the calf and the dynamics of the toes, then you're not getting that, so it's already tight, and you're trying to demand an extra extension from it, and that's what's causing the problem.
Yeah.
So it's contributing to it. It's also a little bit of the competition too.
Well, and it makes complete sense with why my IT band became so kind of overstretched earlier in the year, and I developed the burster on my knee. That all kind of fits into place now, knowing
the whole sort of lower limb starts to try to accommodate, doesn't it, and compensate for that issue. So it's typical to see sort of tightness within the hip, and again, like you say, problems with the knee, things like that. So it's good. We'll check the back. You check your back over again, and just make sure that the alignment and things are doing okay. And I'll show you a little bit of the gait analysis.
Great.
So I'll just talk you briefly through this and show you. So because your foot doesn't meet the floor, so we can see that the arches are quite high. So you've got the red areas are where there's most pressure, and so your arches, they're quite high and they're not covering. So when somebody's flat-footed or pronated, you'll see that this area is covered quite a bit.
Right.
So notice that you're balancing a little bit from the toes here, but not here.
This is left, yeah.
This is the left one.
Okay.
So we can also see how your weight distribution, so it's very, you're very equal, So some people aren't, and that could be leg length, and also in the different quadrants there may be sort of more weight going through this one, and you could see that if that was more damaged, that side, then again you check the pelvis and see why they're putting more weight on that. So we did a little balance thing. So this isn't a running assessment, this is just your walking assessment. But it gives us enough information, and we'll maybe do that another time. Okay, so again, this shows us in slow motion what has happened to your. So this line here is the balance.
Okay.
And on both sides. But your right is the worst one, isn't it, or the one that's most effective?
My Achilles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, we are able to go through all of the scans, checking them individually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this gives us an average, okay? And you can see that this is what I'm talking about. As we go, the weight should come over this sort of centre line, into here, and what gives us the spring off is that sort of roll and the snap from the calf muscle, and naturally we're going out through the big toe and the middle toe. Now you've got this sort of slight sort of skip here that you're turning, again probably because you can't dorsiflex, which is you can't sort of bend the knee in the way stretching the calf, so you'll just slightly twist. Now to the eye we may not see this, but because this picks it up slow motion, we can see any sort of skews to the balance. So another interesting thing is the amount of pressure here at the front. So the first one being that the balance just goes straight over, so this is your loose ligaments of your ankle. So again, why an arch support would be good. And this pressure at the front. So let's just see. So this is just a static picture, just gives it all in one go. So we've got your pressure through the heel, and then the pressure up through the mid toes, and again, you see how much pressure is going through this big toe. So this can be caused by the way that your toes just become too stiff, and I know my joints aren't meant to bend like this, but there is a few degrees where they can bend the other way instead of flexing. So toes that can do that can share their movement through and distribute it to the big toe a lot better. And if they can't extend a little bit, then there's just become rigid, and then you end up with this sort of like a pirate leg, or one peg leg on from the heel, and then you're onto the forefoot, rather than sort of this roll. So we're losing the roll because we haven't got the arch support, and we're also losing that roll because we're just going from one point onto the forefoot. And
I'm just wondering, I've got a condition called osteochondritis in my big toe that I've had since I was about 12.
Sorry. Which
kind of that sort of makes sense, that because there's often pain there that I've had my whole life that I'm just used to. I've obviously developed a way of walking and running to avoid touching on that pain.
So it could be sort of some habit there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we would do is we'd pop an arch support there, and we'd also put a met bar, a little sort of raise up here through the forefoot, so that it will allow the toes, when they hit it, it splays them slightly.
Okay.
And it will increase their extension. But then also, as you're getting quite a lot of weight through the big toe, we start to use things like this. So these 3D printed insoles is what it tends to design. And this helps. This one is either on the fifth or the first, the big toe, and it will help the roll off. So again, it will smooth that pressure over, and you'll able to sort of share it.
And would I wear these with all footwear or just through training?
If you can wear it as much as you can, so training would be great because most demands are going through at that time, but you won't be able to fit it in all the shoes, but as many as you can, and then because you're supported better, so your feet aren't and the muscles aren't taxed as much, then when you want to wear other shoes, it can't go in. It's fine because your muscles won't be at that sort of full level. Different kinds. So these, when you're running, these are extra thick, so they would help cushion and reduce the impact. This is a lovely substance called D3O, and it's what the military use for their insoles. So they don't use the 3D printed orthotic, but because of the reduction of shock absorbency, they've measured how it reduces lower limb injuries, so they found it worthwhile. So we cover the insoles with that. So, and this is like a met bar, so you can sort of slightly feel that that's raised. So we've got this information here. We'll do another running assessment when you're a little bit better, and then we'll gather that and pop some insoles in. Okay, and then we can get training again in the new year.
Yes.
Good.
Wow.
Well done. Well done, Rosie.
Gosh.
Right, so how did that feel? Because we were up again a little bit higher, so we're up at 3 here, 3 arm. And we just gave you a little bit more, so instead of the 2,500 hits, we went to another. So.
I mean, it's kind of, I feel zinging with energy. It's like I think the adrenaline kicks in because it's really intense.
So you can see why the endorphins would probably mask a bit of pain, really. So you feel like you're walking on air for a bit. It feels like that, everything's zinging. I mean, it's particularly uncomfortable along the ridge there of the Achilles. And getting down deep into these bits here, that's where particularly it was really tender down the sides and there. Well, it's all the affected area, isn't it, where you've got the fibrous bit that's developed, the sort of nodule in the tendon. And then as it goes down onto the bone, you haven't got much cushion there, so it's just going to be the hitting onto the bone, so naturally it's more uncomfortable. I think we saw on the ultrasound scan in the beginning, didn't we, where there was slight sort of, we call them enthopathies, or spurs of the bone, where the tendon pulls the bone away and it misshapes it, so it comes out a little bit. So again, we're just hitting against
those, yeah.
Good, well done.
Brilliant,
Great.
Thank you.
So I had noticed, I was really hoping, this handpiece has been used so much and we'd almost done 10 million shocks, and I was just waiting for it to go, oh, I'm going to do 10 million shocks. And I thought, what am I going to do? I'd love to give the person who has the 10 millionth shock some sort of something to say congratulations. And all of a sudden I checked it and it went to 4,000. So what do we have now? 40,000. So it missed it. So I think, anyway, you deserve the little prize to say thank you and well done. So I think I've got it over here somewhere. And being Glastonbury, it can only be a healthy treat. There's some chocolate mulberries there.
I love mulberries! Thank you, and they're covered in chocolate.
And they're covered in chocolate. There we are.
Thank you.
Okay.